When is an American car not an American car? When it's the cutest car that's ever been made, a Nash Metropolitan. So, the Austin Nash Metropolitan, a weird car, created or designed, I should say, by Nash in the States, then built on contract in the UK by Austin. There was 105,000 of these vehicles made. 95,000 of those were exported to the US, where they were really, really successful, and 10,000 of them thereabouts were retained in the UK and sold to the UK market under the name Austin Nash Metropolitan. So in America, they're Nash Metropolitan. In the UK, Austin Nash Metropolitan. And this is the Austin, which means it is right-hand drive. And such an interesting vehicle. I remember the first time I ever saw one, there's a DJ who DJs at one of my favorite shows, The Trip Out, and she has one, and I saw it in the field at the Trip Out, and it was like this thing that fell out of space. The kind of scallop, this is all metal, all this scallops here, all metal. The two-tone American classic 50s appearance, but obviously it's the size of a 1950s British car, so much, much smaller. This one's a 1957 model, which is one of the early ones. And yeah, they're just so charming. The interior just screams, again, Americana. Actually, from the factory, the interior was black. This one has been painted body color, which I think looks fantastic. The seats are worn a little bit there, but they're pretty simple shape, would be easy enough to recover. And you do actually have some rear seats in the back, probably not that usable for you or I. But on these early models, the trunk, if you like, was accessed from the back there. So it's actually got quite a big trunk there, but you can only access it from the seats. And on the later models, they added a boot that opened there in the more traditional way. This is a 1500 engine. It has a column shift, 3-speed on the column there. And I can just about drive it if I lean out the window, put my bum into the corner so I can avoid my knee hitting where the changer is there. But yeah, a really, really beautiful car. And I've never had a car, I think, that just raises a smile in the same way that this one does. I don't know if it's people smiling because of how cute the car is, or if it's because there's a 6'4" man hanging out the side of it. But it's certainly one that turns heads. And what's really great about it is it has that American car look, but it is something you could easily use and garage here in the UK. So yeah, so cool. When I saw it, I just knew you would love it as much as I do. So I'm doing a couple of bits to improve it, as I always do, and then we'll get this up for sale and hopefully find a new owner who's gonna love and use it, because it wants to be used. Under the bonnet, it's the 1500 B series engine, and yeah, gets you up comfortably to 55 miles an hour. And this one's had electronic ignition and fuel pump and a few things to just make it that little bit more usable, you know, rather than the original mechanical versions that are a little bit less reliable. So yeah, it's had some subtle updates and modifications, but by and large, a really, really original, clean vehicle. Not perfect, but again, like I say, it's a really usable, fantastic little classic car. And yeah, like I say, I just love it. So as you can see, the Nash is now up in the air, ready to tackle a couple of jobs. So last weekend, I actually drove this to the Long Road Festival. If you haven't been there before, do check that out if you're into country music. We had a fantastic weekend. Many beers drunk, lots of lovely food, and it got all the way there, an hour and a half drive, and then as I was queuing to get into the site, I lost my clutch pedal, and it stayed in the parking for the weekend, and we managed to very kindly source some .4 from someone and limp it home. But what happened is the clutch master cylinder, you could see that it emptied out all of the hydraulic fluid, which suggested that there was an issue with the system somewhere. So I've got it up in the air, and let's have a little look. So the clutch is operated by a hydraulic system, and there's a master cylinder just below your feet when you're sat in the car. That then drives a hydraulic line all the way down here to this slave cylinder here. And you can see there's a drip of the hydraulic fluid there, which means this has probably failed, and that's what's causing us to lose clutch. So what I need to do is to whip this off, get a new one. I've already done that. I've already got the part, sorry. So I'm going to whip this off, replace that, bleed it up, and hopefully we should have clutch back. Because other than that, the engine and everything, brakes, brilliant. Everything performed brilliantly. So let me crack on with that. Success. Very simple. That was 2 bolts, undo the line, put the new one on, bleed it up, and we now have clutch back again. So that's really good news. And we can move on to the next thing. All right, job number 2. So you can see here that this is the wing and that's the valance, and the wing's obviously taken a bit of a hit and knocked it out of line, and yeah, it doesn't look so happy. So what I'm going to do is bend the wing back out, give that skim of fiberglass filler, and I'll do this bit around here as well, and just to tidy it up. And I can tidy up all this as well. I'll have to get some paint match, but you can see on this side where it's obviously at some point that line has been filled when this was painted, so I kind of want it to match. And just like I say, I always think it's really important to improve vehicles while I've had them, so I'll do that just to get that all to be back to being nice and one colour again, and because it's such a nice clean vehicle. But if we can just do a couple of little improvements like that, then that would be a good thing. I do also, this is very annoying because I actually had that on there when I got this and I've no idea where it's gone. Currently the only place I can find that sells them is in the States, and they're 75 quid, but it needs to be on there because it looks good. So I need to source another one of them. So yeah, I'm gonna use this wrench to bend this out and yeah, filler that, and then I can get some paint and we can just blow that in. Okay, so what I did was I undid the bolt that held the wing together and bent it back in line. And then I've sanded this all down because I don't know if you saw the bubbles there and that. So what I'll do next, I'll let that fiberglass filler dry, and then I'll give it a skim of some finer finishing filler. And the reason I used fiberglass filler there is just because it's on a gap, it's a bit stronger. And I'm a bit worried if you use normal filler, it will just crack. So we'll do that and then give it a skim of normal filler over the top. And then I'll prime it, we'll get some paint matched, and hopefully that will just fix that. There's imperfections on the vehicle, but that was to me, that was the biggest one that was worth fixing. I honestly can't tell you how cute this thing is. So there's another little tweak I'm going to make. It's really, really clean under here, as you can see. But one of the things I've noticed is it's had a alternator conversion from the original dynamo, and I'm not too happy with how this is mounted. It's just got a long bolt onto the back of the alternator, and because this is a Austin B series engine, I put these in minis, and I was able to just get a bracket to go on there that's just going to hold that, because I worry that's going to pivot. So I'm just going to swap it out for this bracket, which cost me about 12 quid or something like that, just to make sure it's done. And it's nice and shiny, and like I say, it's so clean under here, it would be nice to just make it perfect for the next owner. So I'm going to swap that in. All right, so that corner is now in primer, and what I did was I went to my local paint shop in Bedford, New Again. I took the spare wheel holder thing off, and they matched the paint. So this is a Ford Performance white base. This was the closest they could find, so I'm going to just basically blow this in. Hopefully it's a decent enough match, so we'll give it a blast, and we might have to clear coat it out afterwards depending on how it looks, but we're getting there. All right, so I've given that 4 coats of paint. The match isn't perfect. It's not too far off. So what I'm going to do is actually just give it all, probably this whole wing, a polish, because there's a few scuffs and stuff on it. So I'm going to give it a polish to try and blend it in, and then I can put some clear coat on that front corner as well. And then that, I think, is a great improvement to just take off that little bit of damage. I think just let the car down a bit. So yeah, good job. So that's the finished repair on that front quarter. I think it looks great. Certainly does the job and improves it. Annoying that the paint isn't a perfect match, and that's because the guys at New Again, their spectrometer, it's called, wasn't working, so they had to do it by eye. Truthfully, I would love to get the paint matched properly, and then I would probably just give that a fresh coat. And there's a couple of other bits that I would probably do as well that I would have done if the paint was a bit better, a bit of bubble in there. And yeah, I'd have tidied those up a bit. But again, it's a daily usable vehicle, so not a show winner at this stage. So that concludes the jobs that I'm going to do on the little Nash. Sort out the alternator, sort out that bit of bodywork, fix the clutch, and yeah, I think it's now ready for its new owner. A nice little vehicle that I've done over 200 miles in it. I've really enjoyed driving it. So I'm going to put it up for sale now for $7,750, which I think is a really good price for an iconic vehicle, one that's really usable. The only other one that's up for sale at the moment is a convertible one, which is £20,000. Dare say that one's in tip-top condition, but like I say, this one is a really honest vehicle and do someone really, really proud. So I'm going to get some photos, I'm going to throw it online, and I'll just let you watch some B-roll of the beautiful lines of the Nash Metropolitan, and I will see you in the next one.